In this video, I'm cracking open this epic tome of an RPG and using the random tables inside to create an awesome Shadowdark Dungeon. So one of my absolute favorite things to do is to sit down at my desk, spend a little bit of time, maybe 30 minutes or an hour, and imagining up a dungeon or a little adventure to throw down on my RPG table. Recently, I was flipping through the Shadowdark RPG and came across this 2-page spread called Shadowdark Maps, and I was surprised with just these 2 pages, you can create a dungeon template that is really easy and fast to fill in, especially if you're using the other tables in the Shadowdark book. So I thought it would be fun to spend just a little bit of time to quickly roll up a dungeon and see how it turns out. Okay, so I'm going to make a medium-sized dungeon that's like 8 rooms, so I'm going to be rolling 8d10. But before I get into that, I'm going to roll on the site type table. Just a d6, I rolled a 2, so that means I'm making a cave dungeon. Now I'm moving on to the room type table, rolling 8d10. I don't have 8 with me, so I'm just kind of rolling them over and over again. And wherever the dice lands, I'm kind of just drawing a little circle to represent a room. And then the number on the d10 will tell me what type of room it is based on the table. So we're getting stuff like NPCs, traps, minor hazards, treasure, boss monster. Once I have all 8 of my rooms listed out, then I can roll on the corresponding tables to see what kind of NPCs and traps and treasure I'm working with. So I got an ancient ensnaring trap, a hidden treasure, magical tricksters, a wounded NPC, and a boss that's guarded by minions. As you can tell, I'm just writing this stuff down super fast. This is just a page of notes for me to help get my ideas going. And maybe at this point, this is all the ideas and setup you need, and you're able to fill in the rest of the details on your own. But if not, like me, you need a little bit more help. There's plenty of tables in the Shadowdark book that'll make it much easier filling out these dungeon rooms. Now, I could just jump straight to the monsters or the treasure tables or the trap tables, but I feel like I need a little bit of a story to start things off. You know, I want this dungeon to feel cohesive, not just like a bunch of random things are thrown in here and there. So I'm going to start on page 120, the rumors table, and I rolled that harpies are keeping watch from the cliffs around Darias Tomb. And I think these harpies will be perfect to represent my mob of magical tricksters, and this will become the cliffside entrance to this cave dungeon. Then I'm just going to flip the page and roll on the adventure tables, and I rolled that the players are going to try and find a vampire. This is a great hook. The vampire's name is going to be Darias, so this is their tomb. And instead of rolling again, I'm just going to go with the classic adventure hook. The vampire keeps stealing people away from the town, so the adventurers have got to climb up this cliff and go slay the vampire in the tomb. Next up, I wanted to figure out who this wounded NPC was, and there is no way I would have come up with this character off the top of my head. I rolled on the NPC tables and figured out this was a smuggler elf that prays aloud and was exiled. Maybe they got bit by the vampire and so they're wounded, and they got kicked out of their smuggler group, so they came up to the cliff tomb to try and find a cure, maybe steal back some treasures to get them back into the smugglers group, but they're about to succumb to their wounds and turn into a vampire, so they're praying. So, you know, maybe as the players enter the dungeon, they hear these soft prayers coming from this room and investigate and find this NPC that's about to turn into a vampire. Okay, let's figure out what the other monsters in this dungeon are going to be. We already have the harpies, and we know the main boss is a vampire, but there's also a mighty pariah solo monster that is lurking within this dungeon. So I'm thinking, what kind of strong outcast type monster would be inside a vampire's tomb? I'm flipping through the pages and pages of monsters in this Shadowdark book, and there's so many good ones, and I stumble upon this section of outsiders, a full page of outsiders. Perfect. So this void spawn creature sounds pretty cool, especially if we're going with a big muscly solo monster. But I'm actually really drawn to these rime walkers. They're human-shaped beings formed from black space ice. Their eyes are 2 flickering white lights. They have this ice aura ability, and it makes me think like, ooh, this would be a cool sort of environmental thing to have in this vampire tomb. It's like eerily cold sprinkled all throughout these caves. And maybe this vampire has all of these rhyme walkers, like as their sort of thrall minions or something. And actually that would be perfect because the vampire needs to be guarded by minions in the boss room. So I'm going with these rhyme walkers. I think this is a great example of you don't always have to stick to the prompt. Just, flip through the book and find what inspires you. Okay, next I'm gonna figure out my trap and my hazard. Another 2-page spread right there, easy to figure out. But I had this idea, what if I combine the trap and the hazard into one? And there's this big lake of ice that surrounds the vampire's tomb. So as the players are walking across the ice, it starts to crack, and maybe if they're too close together, they fall through into the freezing waters below. Oh, and maybe those rhyme walkers aren't actually like standing around the vampire, but they're in the frozen lake. So if the players break through, they reach up and try and pull them further under the ice. Okay, I gotta figure out what this treasure is gonna be. It has to be something hidden. I rolled a bronze mirror. Not quite sure what I'm gonna do with that. So I'm looking on the utility item page and there's benefits and curses. So I rolled the benefit that you could see an invisible creature, and then the curse that you lose magic if you're doused in water. So I'm thinking about the story of this place, this mirror and this vampire, and maybe this magic mirror shows the reflection of the person that this vampire is obsessed with or whatever. And they keep it hidden and covered away because just to make a fun dungeon adventure thing, if they're around the mirror, it saps all their vampiric powers. So if the players can figure this out, it'll give them a huge advantage in taking out the vampire. So I've got what goes in all of the rooms figured out. Now I'm just drawing connections between the rooms, link them together to make an explorable dungeon. Just messily drawing lines between my circle rooms. And I know it looks messy and crazy, but this page of hastily drawn notes is basically all I need to run this at the table. I think I'm also going to draw a simple map of this cave tomb, just something easy that I can throw down on the table so the players can get a sense of where they are and what they're exploring. And while I draw this map, I want to tell you about 3 excellent resources that I really love for more Shadowdark prep goodness. So the first is Michael and Night Noon Games YouTube channel. It's filled with great videos about creating and running Shadowdark stuff, a whole series on running a solo game, and videos about building cities and monsters. Michael even made an official Shadowdark class called the Roustabout that sounds really, really fun. If you like watching my YouTube videos and want more of this kind of stuff for Shadowdark specifically, definitely check out Night Noon Games. There's also one of my favorites, Sly Flourish, Mike Shea. He has an awesome series of videos recapping and prepping for his Shadowdark game sessions. I watch these videos every week just because I love seeing how easy and fun it can be to prep for a session of Shadowdark. And honestly, I hope that is reflected in this video that I'm making here. And of course, my pal Bob Worldbuilder has a new book called Delve that's running a Kickstarter right now. I'm really excited about this one, not just because Bob is making this awesome book, but it's a guide for building dungeons with examples of monsters and traps, a bunch more of this kind of stuff to help me create my own dungeons. And what's really exciting is there's a Shadowdark specific version of the Delve book. So I'm so excited and very happy to back this one on Kickstarter. Of course, I'll have links to all of this stuff down in the description and where you can get the Shadowdark book. I just love this book because it just helped me create this dungeon in like 20 or 30 minutes, like not even 30 minutes, including drawing up this map. And in that amount of time, I have exactly what I need to run this dungeon as a session for Shadowdark. I got the simple map to show the players, my page of scribbly notes, and the book for everything else when I need to roll on the treasure tables or look up monster stats. Let me know if I should clean up the map and the notes and make this dungeon available to run. At the very least, I hope this video was inspiring and gets you excited to create your own dungeons and just see how easy and fun it really is. If you'd like to support this channel, I have a Patreon where I release monthly tabletop role-playing game zines. This month, I'm putting together a rule book for Starboard Morkborg, Star Wars inspired Morkborg, a new game that I'm making with my friend Kyle from MapCrow. I also have an online shop where I sell the zines and stickers and pins and a bunch of fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!